In real life, I am under immense pressure. The heavy medical courses exhaust me, and losing my part-time job has only worsened my financial situation. But what breaks my heart the most is that my girlfriend of 2 years chose to break up with me and return to her ex-boyfriend. These overwhelming pressures make me feel oppressed and helpless. I yearn to escape it all, so I seek peace and relief in my dreams. One cold night, I lay in bed, closed my eyes, and tried to escape my worries through a dream. Gradually, I felt a gentle force pulling me into another world. When I opened my eyes, I found myself standing on an unfamiliar land. The sun was shining brightly, towering pyramids glittered in the distance, and the Nile River flowed quietly while palm trees swayed gently by the banks. This was ancient Egypt, a mysterious and prosperous land. I was awestruck by the sight before me: craftsmen carving stone tablets, farmers working diligently in the fields, and bustling markets where merchants called out their various goods. The air was filled with the rich aroma of spices, as if transporting me into a magical world. As I wandered through the market, my eyes were drawn to the exquisite handicrafts and precious gems. Suddenly, a commotion caught my attention. I turned to see a woman in a luxurious linen robe surrounded by noisy children. Her basket of fruit had been knocked over, and the fruits were scattered everywhere. I hurried over to help, bending down to pick up the fallen fruits. When I looked up, I met her gaze. Her eyes, sparkling with wisdom and warmth, were like stars in the night sky. She smiled and thanked me. "Thank you, stranger. My name is Senebkay." My heart raced, and I struggled to control my emotions as I replied, "You're welcome, Princess Senebkay. My name is Jackson. It's a pleasure to meet you." Senebkay looked surprised. "How did you know I am a princess?" I smiled. "Your bearing and attire unmistakably mark your noble status." Senebkay smiled softly, a hint of curiosity in her eyes. "You must be a foreigner. You're lucky I speak your language. Come, let me show you our city." Under Senebkay's guidance, I began to learn about this ancient and mysterious land. The culture and language of ancient Egypt were both strange and fascinating to me. Temples played an important role in ancient Egyptian society, serving not only as centers for religious activities but also as places of culture and education. The temples were adorned with beautiful murals and reliefs that recorded the great achievements of the pharaohs and mythological stories. The priests performed complex rituals every day, including washing the statues of the gods, offering food, and burning incense. Temples also served as educational centers where young priest apprentices learned hieroglyphs, mathematics, and astronomy. The people's clothing was quite distinctive. Men typically wore linen kilts, while women wore long robes or dresses. The clothing of the nobility and priests was more elaborate, usually made from fine linen and adorned with gold and gemstones. Makeup was also an important custom, with men and women using mineral pigments to decorate their eyes, lips, and faces. Common colors included green and black. Wearing jewelry was a symbol of social status, and gold necklaces, bracelets, and rings were especially popular among the nobility and priests. Senebkay told me that the ancient Egyptians believed in an afterlife, viewing death as merely a gateway to eternity. The tombs of pharaohs and nobles were richly decorated, with the burial chambers filled with a vast array of goods, including food, clothing, furniture, and jewelry, meant for use in the afterlife. The most famous of these tombs are the pyramids, magnificent structures that symbolized the power of the pharaohs and represented the pinnacle of ancient Egyptian architecture and engineering. Mummification was an essential process for preserving the body, involving embalming and wrapping, ensuring that the deceased soul could find its body and continue living in the afterlife. Despite Senebkay's best efforts to help me fit in, I constantly felt out of place. I couldn't speak ancient Egyptian and couldn't fully understand the local customs and beliefs, making many situations awkward and challenging for me. Once, in the marketplace, I got into a scuffle with a merchant due to the language barrier. Passing soldiers witnessed the scene and mistook me for an unwelcome intruder, deciding to take me to the pharaoh for questioning. The pharaoh was suspicious of my identity, thinking I might be a spy sent by enemy forces, and ordered me to be imprisoned. In prison, I realized I had to escape quickly or face even greater danger. During a transfer, I exploited a structural flaw in the prison and successfully escaped. Senebkay used her position and resources within the court to provide me with a hiding place and enlisted trusted friends to help me evade capture. I was deeply moved by Senebkay's courage and wisdom, and our feelings for each other quickly deepened amidst the danger. One beautiful night, under the moonlight, she looked up at me with eyes full of tenderness, and I gazed back at her, mesmerized by her eyes that sparkled with beauty and wisdom. Our hands clasped tightly together, and it felt as though this simple touch allowed us to sense each other's deepest emotions. Words were no longer necessary, our gazes conveyed everything. We nestled close, feeling each other's warmth and the sound of our intertwined breaths. My hand gently caressed her skin, as if painting a precious masterpiece, with every touch filled with endless tenderness and passion. She responded to my every advance, her body instinctively moving closer to mine, seeking a deeper connection. Our lips met softly, like an electric current coursing through our bodies, and we both felt an unprecedented thrill. As the kiss deepened, the tension and passion in the air intensified, as though the entire world had condensed into a single, potent emotion, and the indescribable intimacy consumed us both. After our intimate moment, I explained my origins to her in detail. I tried to describe the society I live in as simply as possible. However, her astonished reaction made me realize that it all seemed like a fantasy to her. Her eyes sparkled with both fear and excitement as she repeatedly asked me, "Are you saying there's a small box that not only allows you to speak to someone thousands of miles away but also lets you see their face? You're telling me there's an invisible net that connects all the people and things in the world? Are you saying there's a huge flying house that can carry you and a group of people through the sky?" The world I described was both unfamiliar and intriguing to her, shattering her existing perceptions. Likewise, to satisfy my curiosity, she agreed to take me on an exploration of more ancient Egyptian secrets, so I could later tell my friends what ancient Egypt was truly like. We first arrived at a pyramid under construction. She told me that the location of the pyramid was very important, typically situated on the west bank of the Nile River, symbolizing the place where the sun sets, representing the concept of death and rebirth. The foundation of the pyramid had to be solid, usually chosen on a rocky base to ensure the stability of the structure. The architects used highly precise mathematical calculations. The base of the pyramid was typically square, with each side being very close in length. The angle of the sides was designed to be about 51 degrees, making the apex of the pyramid point towards the sky, symbolizing the rays of the sun god Ra. The materials used to build the pyramid were mainly limestone and granite. Limestone was primarily used for the outer decoration and inner filling, quarried from the Tura quarry across the Nile. Granite was used for the internal structure and some special decorations, quarried from Aswan. The transportation of materials was carried out by both water and land. Water transport made use of the Nile's flood season to move massive stones to the construction site. For land transport, stones were moved from the riverbank to the site using wooden rollers and ramps coated with mud. Levers and pulley systems were also employed to reduce the effort required to lift the stones. Senebkay then took a great risk by leading me to the most mysterious temple hidden deep in the desert, known only to a few. The entrance to the temple was covered by sand, making it nearly unrecognizable. Senebkay used clues she deciphered from ancient manuscripts to guide us to the entrance. Inside the dimly lit temple, we lit all the torches, illuminating the hieroglyphs and murals on the walls. These murals depicted ancient myths and legends. We carefully deciphered the hieroglyphs, and with her wisdom and knowledge, Senebkay discovered that the true secret they concealed was an underground chamber buried beneath the temple. The underground chamber was filled with traps and obstacles. We had to cautiously avoid poison arrows and traps. In the depths of the chamber, we discovered a massive stone coffin filled with gold, gems, and ancient artifacts. However, our actions also alerted the temple's guardians. Senebkay and I joined forces to fight off these guardians, using the mechanisms and traps in the chamber to defeat them one by one, eventually returning safely to the surface. Back in the city, we accidentally discovered that a plot against the pharaoh was being brewed. Senebkay used her connections in the court to obtain critical information. A traitor was planning a nighttime operation to assassinate the pharaoh and seize the throne. we decided to take immediate action to thwart this plot. On a pitch-black night, we quietly infiltrated the palace, using secret passages to approach the pharaoh's quarters. We discovered that the assassin was already lying in wait, ready to strike. Senebkay guided us to avoid the patrolling guards and approach the assassin. As the assassin prepared to act, we struck decisively. I fought the assassin with the short sword I carried, while Senebkay quickly informed the pharaoh of the situation. Through our combined efforts, the assassin was subdued, and the pharaoh was safe and sound. However, the good times did not last long. I began to feel the power of the dream gradually fading. I heard a voice say, "Jackson, you must return to the real world, time is running out." I realized my journey was coming to an end. I didn't want to leave Senebkay, but I knew it was inevitable. On the last evening, we sat by the Nile once more. I took a deep breath and said to her, "Senebkay, I must return to my world." Tears glistened in Senebkay's eyes, but she nodded firmly, "I know, Jackson." Although our encounter was brief, this memory will stay with me forever. I embraced her, feeling her warmth and resilience. Then, I closed my eyes, feeling that gentle force pulling me back to reality. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in my room. Although I had left Senebkay, my heart was filled with new hope and strength because I had experienced an unforgettable journey in my dream, where I met a beautiful and brave princess.